Have you ever driven an F1 car?
No, I have not. I've driven some open wheel cars, lower horsepower stuff, but nothing like that. We actually, one of our most successful videos ever is a guy who did a press event driving an old Infinity F1 car, probably from the early 2000s. They did a press drive where they kind of like had some people that had enough experience to probably not die. And they talk about ramping up towards, you do a Formula 3 car to one. And it's wild. I mean, you'll hear people talk about how difficult it is because you can't go fast enough. You can't think fast enough to go fast enough to brake hard enough to use the downforce enough to make it through any of the turns. And so if any of the variables don't work, then none of them work. And it's pretty wild.
It's like flying a plane. It's more like flying a plane than driving a car.
The challenge is you need to drive the car hard and fast.
It is harder
to warm up the tires and brakes.
Yep.
But you can't drive the car hard and fast unless the tires and brakes are warm. So it takes an expert to make this thing have warm tires and brakes before they're warm. And I guess you get
and
it, right?
The downforce as well. You gotta be moving fast enough to have the downforce for that's. I never thought of it that way. I was going to ask you if it's like a James Bond scenario where we've got to catch the bad guy, and I just pull the guy out of the F1 car and I jump in, but on the way on the plane ride over here, like there was an F1 driver and he was whispering in my ear like how to drive an F1 car. I have that amount of cursory knowledge. What happens?
Oh,
do I immediately hit a wall?
Yeah,
you can't get it to move.
Can't make it move. Yeah.
Really?
So Kyle can drive a stick. I can too. I have the same question about myself. I have decades of driving a stick, so I'm not a good driver. Like I don't pretend that if you put me on a racetrack, I'd do better than most. I'd do worse than most. But I am competent at driving a stick shift. I've done it forever.
Why can't we make it move?
The different generations of cars use electronically operated clutches and things like that. So actually the procedure is not exactly like, you can't feather it out. It's going to use an electronic throttle in order to overcome how small the clutch is. And so you might have a foot operated clutch, but the way that would engage would be entirely different. There would be no bite point. It would just be as much an electronic switch as anything else.
On off.
Yeah.
The timing's important, or I'd stall. The car can't stall though. Like, what would it do?
It has an anti-stall, but if the anti-stall kicks in, then it just doesn't move, but it also doesn't die.
It jerks. It presses the clutch in. I saw Richard Hammond. I think he was feigning incompetence in a video.
To an extent, yes, but
and the car was like stutters to go stop. Yeah, thank you, man. And an expert did this sort of like my reaction to Richard Hammond's video, and he explained that the car has anti-stall, and he's like leaning on he's almost trying to stall it, leaning on the anti-stall, putting on the typical what I frustrate about Top Gear with, pretending that he's encountering more trouble than he really is by trying to stall it, and it won't stall. I'm like, just press the gas if it won't stall. Won't it go? I don't know.
Yeah.
You could, if you had someone sitting there with you explaining it, you'd figure, if you had a general understanding of how cars work and how a clutch works, then you could figure it out. You could make it move. And I believe, not having done it, that the ability for someone to make it around a track is greater than most people. The ability to try to go fast around a track, that's when you go. I think you could make it navigate, but if the second you started trying to hold some speed or doing it, it'd just be spin.
Yeah, I got to catch that villain. He's got the briefcase with the jewels in it.
Yeah, you wouldn't get the briefcase.
I bet but he's not trained either.
Well, there's this thought that
when he's running, he knows how to.
Oh, he spoke to me. He's running. I'm cutting him off at the shins.
I don't know.
We all have that The Rock chase fantasy where you steal the 355 out of the valet and chase him in the Humvee through the windows and all that. But there's this thought that
that's the chase.
That is the chase, but the jump is just tough. I mean, I love Gone in 60 Seconds, so the second one. But
Blues
we have that thought that just money buys your way into F1 and Drive to Survive and things like that make it seem that way. And for a long time, one of the stories that I've been looking for the right storyteller to tell on VINwiki is the economics of racing, right? Because it's, yes, you have to be good, but much more importantly than being good at every level of racing is being rich or knowing the right rich people. And to kind of see behind that curtain, because at least half the NASCAR field is paying to be there, and clearly some of the F1 field is just paying to be there, and almost all of them were paying to be there at some point. And he said that if you were entering Formula One today, so if you just won a Formula 2 championship, your family or whomever's investment into your career would be at a minimum $20 million today, in order to have been able to prove that you could win at all these things. And that's assuming like a perfect ascension. So every year from karting on, you're winning a championship. And again, that makes it sound like you could just pay your way in. But he said at every level, every person in that field has the money too. And so you have to have the money and the skill is effectively the moral of the story.
Wow. Formula One drivers are an interesting. So I watch Drive to Survive, never miss it. And I just gather these little vibes from the driver on how wealthy they are. Like I watched Carlos Sainz, and he's sitting at a table in some sort of paradise, right? So picture like an outdoor, I don't know how to describe a really, really high-end picnic table on a balcony with lights, maybe overlooking the Monaco seascape or something. If I'm there, if I'm there and I wasn't raised poor, I'm like, oh my God, can you believe this? Can you believe this view? Can you believe where I'm standing? This is an event. They are so casual and nonchalant about what their life is. It's crazy. Same thing, back of a yacht. They don't blink. This isn't even a special day to them. I watch them play tennis, and they're in the all tennis whites, the short shorts, whatever. I would feel like I'm wearing a costume. Carlos Sainz, this is just his off time to him. To see, I don't know, something about the attitude and comfort and non-specialness of really special, wealthy situations. I was like, damn, these guys have been rich since they've had memories.
Yeah. But they still can drive. And, the differences in the cars obviously are huge, but I think it's amazing what Netflix has done to transform at least the American audience perception of the sport. And I think that's kicked off there.
I lost you for a second. Yeah. Oh, I like F1. I'm a Formula. I'm sorry. I'm a Drive to Survive fan. I'm one of those new ones, but it's neat to see. At first, I loved how unfair it was. I thought it was neat that my car is faster than yours. Fuck you. This team wanted me instead of you, so I'm better than you. Like, no, you're not better than me. You just have a better car. If I wasn't better than you, you'd be driving this car. And I just kind of enjoyed this unfair fight. But I enjoyed this unfair fight when there were 3 cars on any given week, 3 teams that could win. This year, I think there's 23 races. If that's not right, it's very close. Red Bull won 22 times. And Red Bull has one driver that's faster than the other. He won 20 of them. And it's just it's fucking ridiculous. He won it.
Take and bake. Oh my God.
Yeah.
He let the other guy win one.
So the other Red Bull driver won 2. So the first 4, each of them won 2 races, and then he just ran away with it. And Ferrari got 1 win.
Well, is that other guy running as a blocking car for the winner?
The other guy sucks dick. He is a cocksucker. He's an asshole. He blames other people every time he loses, but he thinks he's the best driver. He did get 2 wins, so it's not like he's bad.
He's a pretty good driver then, right?
Yeah, he's consistently he's in by far the best car. This car won 22 out of 23 races, and fuck shit Czecho is always finishing 9th, 11th, 13th. He can't get out of the first round of qualifying 6 races in a row. He's getting beat by cars that are so much worse than his. I love to hate him. I follow every week. I watch and hope that Czecho does poorly. But it's one way of being a fan.
I'm glad you're having fun with it.
Now, when you say you watch, do you watch the races? Or, I know you're a stats and stories fan to some extent.
Mostly, I stats and stories F1 also. Sometimes I live watch the results. I literally just watch the stats as they change in real time. Max is in first. It's as it should be.
I don't know how you watch sports like that. Like,
I've got to
you gotta watch the
like,
game.
I literally watch Google like search results, and they just update like as the race progresses, and that's how I enjoy F1
That's so
sometimes.
funny.
Yeah,
I really I gotta watch. I watch most UFC events. I'm definitely watching the next one. It's wild. So many fun storylines and everything. That's the only thing I really watch. I watch some college football, and I can be drug into watching NFL, especially if like my friends are watching it and we're going back and forth about it. But that's about it. Like I already told you, I'm no longer a baseball fan. I've given up on the sport as a whole. The Braves did that to me this year. I swear to God, I'll never mention baseball again. You'll see. I mean it.
They won the 2021 World Series, and he's done with them.
With the sport. I'm done with the sport as a whole.
that's
like
how I felt about college
over.
football for a minute. When
Falcons
Georgia
also. You lose that Super Bowl, that's it. Never again.
When Georgia got screwed over, in my opinion, and Florida got screwed over, in everybody's opinion, simply because of money, this is stupid. Make the playoffs 8, and I'll come back.
Do you follow any sports other than racing, Ed?
No, I mean, fortunately they are making it bigger next year. So I don't know why it's what is it? Is it 12 or some awkward number for the football playoffs?
12.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
so there's
shit, I didn't know.
The top 4 teams will just get a bye next year, and then the other 8 play, and then they all start. Which I don't know why you don't make it 16 or some very logical tournament structure, but yeah. This one was a bad but. It's almost makes you wish it was just one game again, because you could justify the top 2 so easily. But when you try to make it 4, then it gets too hard. So I enjoy college football, but I struggle to invest a lot of my happiness in the actions of other people. And so it makes me a bad sports viewer.
Yeah.
But I many times envy those that can make it that kind of a hobby level interest, things like that.
Yeah.
I can't follow professional sports because of the like the sellsword nature of it, like if you had homegrown talent and was like, yeah, this is Bobby, he went to high school in Georgia and college at UGA, and he plays for the Falcons, and he took less money to do it. He said he signed a 30-year contract. Like, all right, holy shit, Bobby don't give a fuck. He's a Georgia boy. Like, you could follow a team that was made up of 30 players like that. But when it's like, I mean, look, LeBron James is a perfect example, right? When you bounce around to like when it's all about you, how can I ever give a shit about you? When I watch UFC, I always go back.
He did go back to Cleveland. He's not your perfect example.
Yeah.
Won a title for him.
Fair enough. But when I look at UFC, like if I'm a Sean Strickland fan, then he can't really lose me because I like him. And when he wins, it's about him winning. And he can't sell out. He can just find new sponsors. And I'm happy for him when he does so. You know what I mean? Oh, Budweiser's going to pay you? Drink it up, tranny boy. Like I'm down. I don't care.